Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from any and all corners of the nerd universe, and we take your questions. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and our guest this week is the first time ever in the history of And I Quote do we have a returning guest. So please welcome independent comic book writer and publisher who comes from the desk of a small press publisher. He is back, Jack. Please welcome Joe D. McFee. Joe, welcome to the program. How are you?
And in tradition to your intro, finally, the Joe has returned back to And I Quote. And the crowd goes wild.
Yes, it truly does. So, Joe, thank you so much for being here. And by the way, if you have any questions for Joe D. McFee as we go throughout the course of this program, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. Our producers are going to keep an eye on it as we go throughout the course of the show. But in the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy what we have here for you on the season finale of And I Quote for 2022. But fear not, we will be back with new episodes in 2023. But before we get into that, Joe, I got to ask you, how have things been going for you? How you been? You doing okay?
I've been doing okay and been looking forward to what I consider the And I Quote annual number 1, because this was like coincidence again, because I wanted to schedule time earlier on this year. If you remember, for a Kickstarter that I was running, and it turns out it was all the way booked up. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we take it back to where we originally began, which was right about this time, the last show of the season. And, I'm up here thinking it's like, maybe we should make this an annual type thing. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
It could. Yeah, you're right. It could be. Yeah, it's very interesting how things come full circle. It's kind of fortuitous. You were here the last weekend of last year. Now you're here again the last weekend of this year. It's amazing how things work out.
Mm-hmm. It's just weird. It just happened to be weird because I believe this year I tried to do the Amazonia issue number 7 crowdfunding campaign to come on and everything, but the stars didn't line up for that. And then when I looked at everything, it's like the last weekend of the year was here. It's like, hey, right, you think we should do this, as an annual thing? And he was like, hey, let's go ahead and shoot for it. And we did.
There you go. And here we are. Possibilities are endless. You never know what's going to happen, folks. And and it's funny you bring up the annual number 1. Does that mean we're going to take both episodes if we could, even though that's not really possible? Maybe get them graded, get them slabbed. Maybe we'll come out with a 9.8.
Probably so. We're trying to do that. We try to get that popularity up where we get a fair market value of maybe like $400 or $500 per episode.
$400 per episode. Brian Wensloff is here with us. He says, "Hello, gentlemen. Brian, it is good to see you." He is the host. He is the host / co-host of a talk show called Reels and Heels, where they discuss all things pop culture and wrestling. Boy, yeah.
Ooh, old school wrestling.
Yes. We're
talking about the cream of the crop, the old school Macho Man Randy Savage, the Jimmy Superfly Snookers, the junkyard dogs of the world.
Yeah, talks about all that and then some. So make sure you check out Reels and Heels whenever you have an opportunity. But aside from that, you mentioned something a moment ago, and I want to ask you about this. And for those of you who are just joining us and maybe didn't catch the first appearance of Joe D. McFee on And I Quote, it is on our And I Quote playlist on our YouTube channel at It's Nerd Culture. So make sure you check that when you get an opportunity. But just to give people an update, Amazonia, for those who may have missed it the first time around, what exactly is Amazonia, and what is the latest update that you could present us with?
Okay. Amazonia is a comic book series about a superhero who happens to not be normal. When I say not normal, she stands close to like 18 foot tall and, have all of these awesome powers. But she's coming back to her hometown after being almost murdered at her high school prom for self-defense. So she's coming back trying to get some type of reconciliation and try to live a normal life like anybody else here. However, she comes back to a hometown that is up under siege by a corporate madman who pretty much has his mitts in everything. And it turns out that he has more of a vengeful spirit on her family, in particular, dad. And issue number 7 gets into the crux of, hey, our main villain has enemies too. And we're trying to unlock the mystery of who could be after him to trying to kill him.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Things aren't always as what they seem. Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. That sounds really cool. And by the way, Brian chimes in. He's having too much fun with the pro wrestling references. He says, "Oh yeah, dig it." So there you go.
Well,
Nice one, Brian.
I won't do Booker T because nobody here's a sucker.
No, that's no. You're absolutely right. Hey, yo, it's Joe. Says Comic
Yes.
Talk with Pops Man Zant is in the
Hey,
building.
Pops.
What's up, Pops?
How's it going, Pops?
Good to see you. Hope everything's well in your neck of the woods, and hope you and your family are having a lovely holiday season as we go throughout the course of time. Now, another title that you're a part of and you helped put together. This is called, was it Primetime Saturday Night? Yeah.
Primetime Saturday Night.
What exactly is this, and what is the latest update on this project?
Okay. Primetime Saturday Night is the sister book to AWF. Now, short synopsis of AWF. AWF is about a pro wrestling federation where all the wrestlers, which just happen to be women, have superpowers, but they don't really know about them. However, the federation itself turns out to be a training program for the next generation of superheroes, which again, the government is keeping secret from the federation itself. The only thing that the federation, and as well as those that wrestle in it, knows, it's like from time to time they would get like this manila envelope that gives them kind of like a quest or some type of adventure to go on eventually to deal with certain turmoils and stuff in the world. It gets played off more along the lines of them like doing like special world tours or special PR engagements and everything to that magnitude. When we started up that series, one of the things that was being complained about was the lack of pro wrestling. So my answer for that was Primetime Saturday Night, which is the AEW, the WWE, Raw, SmackDown, television presentation of the pro wrestling itself. So when you buy Primetime Saturday Night, you are actually getting the comic book form of superhero pro wrestling, or I should say super powered pro wrestling at its best. You won't see anybody shooting like laser beams or anything to that magnitude, but you will be seeing people getting thrown, hundreds of feet up in the air, people getting, just amazing feats of strength, of speed, and endurance in that aspect. So, and I'm doing it in such a way where it is an actual TV broadcast. So when you start from page 1 to the very end, you are really watching a televised version of the pro wrestling that will be associated with AWF.
Ah, I see what you mean now. Well, that is really cool, and also,
Yes! That's awesome!
Exactly. Exactly. And trust me, it's hard. It's hard to keep up with that. And the cool thing about it is that you've been watching from the desk of a small press publisher. I've been working live on issue number 4. I've been doing this kind of like more of like flying by the seat of my pants, because normally I script everything out.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time I'm doing it by the seat of my pants to get those who are fans of the series more involved with it. So as I work on it, if I'm do a session, an actual session where I'm actually working on it, the people who are watching it has direct input as I show them how I'm going about doing panel to panel to panel work within DOS Studio.
That is incredible stuff. Once again, we're talking with indie comic writer and publisher Jody McFee on this episode, the season finale, if you will, Bandai Quote for 2022. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like and share this video with all of your closest friends. They're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to these episodes of Bandai Quote. I guarantee it. If you have any questions for Jody McFee, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. And whether you are watching this live or on the replay, thank you so much for being here. More people have chimed in here in the chat. Pops Van Zant says, I have a sketch cover of Amazonia on my wall.
Yes, he does. He has one of my more risque sketch covers on his wall.
Risque. That's a word we don't use lightly on this program. Brian also chimes in. He says, Joe, you are so welcome to join us in the month of January, as today is the last show for us in 2022 on Reels and Heels.
Well, hit me up on either Facebook or Instagram. Let me know that you saw me here, and we'll set it up.
Giddy up. There you go, Brian. More things are being tossed your way, so don't miss out on that opportunity, Brian. I'm just saying, brother. Gee willikers. Outside of that and the things that you've done, and this is something I haven't addressed before on End Quote, and I feel like now is a good time to do it. It's the end of the year. We're wrapping things up. We're going to be thinking about what we want to accomplish in 2023 in terms of your goals. Maybe the person who's watching this, maybe you're listening to this, you have some goals in mind, things you want to go after, and that's all good. Nothing wrong with that. And this has been brought up before, but I'm curious, how would you define the words imposter syndrome, and how does one overcome that, in your opinion?
Okay. That's a good question because I suffer from it a lot. And the reason I say I suffer from it a lot because it is if I could say, a perception problem. Imposter syndrome is pretty much that feeling that a person will get when they feel that they do not measure up to other people's standards as far as what is considered whether it be a professional in that industry or a subject matter expert. It's a questioning of your expertise when it comes to the full scale of other people's perceptions. It's not something that other people do to you that makes it happen. It's the way that you view yourself. And one of the things that I learned from, suffering through all of this, it's like sometimes we compare ourselves too much to others that we admire, and that skew how we view their bigger picture of everything. For example, if I would compare myself to every other comic book creator that's out there currently on the market, and I see something that I like way more than what I'm putting out, I will downplay myself, even though I may have more experience in the industry than this other person, just because a perception that was being performed on my part, feeling that I'm inadequate when technically I am. I've been doing this stuff longer. I have put out several issues. I've been making the moves and doing what I need to do to stay out there and stay relevant. But yet at the same time, I have if I could say, the contrary perspective that I'm not worthy of being in the same ranks as somebody else who may not be even close to the knowledge that I have, or to that degree. So I guess that's the simplest answer I could give to that particular question. I probably confused a few people, but hopefully I didn't.
No, it's fine. It's completely understandable. And thank you so much for sharing that with us, and shedding some light on that, because imposter syndrome has been talked about numerous times over numerous decades on different forms of podcasting shows, talk shows, magazines, articles, whatever it may be. And also, Clyde Hall is here with us. He says, Hello, Joe and Ryan. Good and groovy Saturday to both you fine gents.
Exactly. Hopefully Clyde is having a very shagadelic day too.
Yeah. And yes, I understood that reference. Clyde,
of course I know you do.
Yeah, I mean, for someone who's been watching movies since he was at the young age of 5 or whatever, well, maybe even 4, gee whiz, I know a few things. Clyde, good to see you, kind sir. We will be talking a little bit more about some of the things that you may be involved in come January 2023. Multiverse fundraiser, we'll talk about it later. But no, I completely understand where you're coming from. Yeah, imposter syndrome is something that everyone at some point in their life is going to struggle with, but there are ways to overcome it. And one of the things that I've learned is focus on what you're doing, focus on what you enjoy about life, focus on what you enjoy about your writing or your publishing or whatever it is that you do, because many people are into many different industries, and that's fine. Just enjoy what you're doing, and if you love what you do, it's not called work. So just focus
Exactly.
on that. Focus on what you're doing. Craft the story that you want to put together, and don't let anyone else tell different. Because everyone writes or puts something together in their own way. That's what makes us different.
Mm-hmm. You speaking volumes. You speaking volumes, and always avoid comparison. Never compare yourself to somebody else because there's only one you out there. And once you accept who you are and understand that there's only one of you, everybody else really doesn't matter. I'm not saying being narcissistic, but just understand that you can only do what you're able to do. What Ryan does with his broadcast is completely different than what I do with my broadcast. But when I start comparing, that Ryan got better numbers, Ryan got, more active, chat and all this other stuff, it plays on that insecurity. It's like, well, what am I doing wrong? Am I not as popular? You don't need that. Just focus in on what you want to do and how you need to go about doing it, and the rest take care of itself.
Mic drop. Once again, we are talking with indie comic writer and publisher Jody McFee on the season finale of And I Quote for 2022. If this is your first time here, welcome, and don't forget to like and share this video with all of your closest friends. If you have any questions for Joe, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. We're going to be keeping an eye as we go throughout the course of this program. Now, here's something I'd like to address, and this is going to cause a bit of a stir in the comment section below, I'm sure, but hey, we're all trying to have fun here. No, I'm sorry, we are going to be having fun here because as my master once said, there's do or do not. There is no try.
Exactly.
So, thank you. But anyhow, so we have the two big ones, but then we also have the indies. But I want to start with Marvel for a second. So MCU's got a lot of stuff coming out. They got a lot of series coming out. They got plans for the movies moving forward. They got plans for other things moving forward in regards to certain characters and certain iterations of the characters and certain ways they're going to go about it. So my question to you is, of what you've seen thus far and what you've seen here in this year of 2022 and what you may or may not have seen with their plans, because they haven't revealed everything,
Right.
they revealed enough that you pretty much have a pretty good idea of where they're going to go in 2023, even though the movies and some of the series have not been released yet. So aside from that, what is it that you are looking forward to seeing from the MCU in 2023, and what do you think the MCU should be doing?
That's a great question because I was about to get ready to write an article kind of sort of dealing with a offshoot topic of this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what they should be doing is finding a way to bridge the gaps between all possible viewers of their work. Because I feel that as Marvel crossed the media with their intellectual properties, people are just getting more and more toxic because now these properties have to be viable not only for the comic book readers, but for those that watch television and then those that only watch movies. And all those three different groups are three different individual sub pockets that have different wants and different needs from those IPs. And trying to find a happy medium, it's going to be, a challenge. And trust me, one of the things that I've seen from watching the stuff that's on Disney Plus and some of the movies from this past year, a lot of the complaints is coming from those fans that felt that they're getting slighted, when technically, no, it's really not that you're getting slighted. It's just that they have to make things more palatable for the other subsections. I mean, one of the things that I look at was how some people complained about She-Hulk. As a big fan of She-Hulk, I had to divorce my comic book side fandom for it. And I saw that this was a good TV series if I took it as a TV series. Did they go back and touch certain things in the source material? Yes, but they did it in a jokingly way. It pissed a lot of people off because of the simple fact of how they went about it. But in a bigger standpoint, TV watchers don't know about the comic book history or the source material. Why would they care? Those who follow the movies that happen to have Disney Plus that may tune into it, they don't care about the comic book source material like that. This might be like their introduction to this character. And this is where, like I said, crossing media comes into play about making things more palatable for all three subsections of fandom. It just gets to that point. And I feel the same way with the upcoming movies, because as of right now, a lot of people who love the MCU movies, they're kind of at a loss. It's like, well, there's not going to be another major cosmic cataclysm like we had with Endgame, because now they're bringing in newer franchises that is unfamiliar with the majority of the mass. And when I say unfamiliar, I'm talking about not as popular. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you truly think about it, the Marvels, not too many people know about, the whole thing about, Miss Marvel, except for what they did with Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. Captain Marvel was meh because of Brie Larson. Monica Rambeau is the only one that had some steam behind her because of WandaVision. But at the same time, when you bring all three of them together, it's still an untested property. We're still getting, the go-aheads for a lot of untested stuff, and we're pretty much got to like sit back and hold our breath to see how they're going to do. The one movie that I am looking forward to is the new Ant-Man movie, because I'm curious where are they going to find Ant-Man that's going to be compelling enough to make that bridge into the next epic climactic movie set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. I believe it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Enter Quantum Mania, I believe is the name of the new one.
Exactly.
Which, Quantum Mania, didn't we see that one on WrestleMania? No, I'm just kidding.
No. If it was in WrestleMania, it makes me wonder why the New Day didn't go further into the quantum sphere.
That's another valid point. No, that's not really good points there. Really good points about the MCU. What potentially we're going to see from them. What we should be seeing from them moving forward. It depends. Nothing. Some of these things haven't happened yet. Some of these things haven't been released yet. All we can do is just have our thoughts and speculate on certain things. But yeah, you're right. You got some very good points there. Now, on the flip side of the coin, though, there's been a major overhaul on the other side of the fence here. I'm talking about DC and Warner Brothers. Peter Safran and James Gunn have been brought in to apparently be the new captains. Look at me. We're the captains now. They're riding the ship. They're calling the shots in regards to DC films and perhaps even DC television. So my question is, it seems like they're cleaning house. All the actors that have come before are gone. Henry Cavill announced that he's gone. Gal Gadot, I think she's pretty much gone at this point. I just heard that they axed both Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot's scenes from the Flashpoint movie that's supposedly supposed to be coming out at some point or another. So there's a lot of cleanup. There's been a massive overhaul. A lot of things are being changed. A lot of things are being flipped over. So my question is, Peter Safran, James Gunn, what exactly do you think they're going to do? And do you think the DC cinematic universe that they are going to attempt at least to assemble, do you think they can do it?
At this point, to how the majority of people, especially moviegoers and comic book fans, are concerned, no. They're going to have to go through another set of growing pains before people start liking their movies. Why? Because you got too many people who are fans of Henry Cavill as Superman. Whatever happened with negotiations when he said that he was out as Superman, and the simple fact that he was willing to give up Witcher to be DC Superman, and now this happens, you got a lot of Henry Cavill fans ticked off, very ticked off.
I'm one of them.
I don't think James Gunn can bring those fans back without giving Henry Cavill his rightful due, which I don't see happening.
Right.
The whole thing with Gal Gadot, I kind of saw that writing on the wall dealing with Patty Jenkins. Mm-hmm. It also made me think of that what Patty Jenkins said, considering what's going on now, that she contradicted herself when we were originally talking about Wonder Woman 84, about how much of a miss that was. And no, I got into a conversation not too long ago with somebody else dealing with Wonder Woman 84, and I was highlighting the fact that it was a good thing that Wonder Woman 84 was brought to streaming first, because if it was brought out in theaters, it would have been a box office bomb. It would have not made any money. It would have been upset with this movie. Not that it was a completely bad movie. It just had problems all across the board. Now, coming back to Patty Jenkins, Patty made mention about a lot of things that she wanted in the movie was stripped out because Warner Brothers got involved with it. The producers wanted certain things in it, and it was a big to-do about that. But then again, as time went on, we found out more and more stuff that Patty Jenkins wanted in this movie. And now it becomes questionable. Who was right? Were those executive producers were right in what we got now with that movie? Or was she right? And when I look at what she wanted, I'm up here like, that could have been as a big lead balloon as just the executive one. So pretty much I'm looking at this as like, maybe this was just a bad movie as a whole, as far as the writing of it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, coming off the success of the very first one that she did, this time skip didn't bode well, especially since they were trying to tie it in with Batman v Superman. It just didn't bode well. I mean, to me, you should have just kept doing it, certain aspects, going from World War One to 1984. No, I could see World War One to World War II, and then slowly getting into the modern days. But that was too big of a jump.
Mm-hmm.
There were certain aspects that screamed like, what if this was a guy and the guy did this type of stuff, and then people were complaining about standards. And I was like, it's like, don't bring that type of stuff into this. But yeah, it's a problem story-wise that way. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to leave it at that. Watch the movie. It's obvious. Only thing I have to say is pay attention to the line where Diana says, but the only thing that I see now is him, which was Steve.
Oh, yes.
So once that had happened, people lost their ever-loving minds. Because I'm up here trying to get them to understand, psychologically so, it works. In a movie setting, it doesn't work. This is something that would fit very well in a novel, but in a movie, yeah, I can see where you get that aspect of, how about this a double standard about rape? So I was like, I can understand. I get it. I understand it. But when you look at psychology, it's like people are just not understanding that. They don't want to understand that. They just saw what they saw. And you know what? You're right. It does not translate very well to a movie. There's no way in the world that you could get that done unless, somebody brought in a psychiatrist to be like, oh yeah, Diana is suffering from this, to kind of make it seem like, yeah, she was in the wrong, but at the aspect, it was wrong in the first place. It was still wrong in the first place, but the circumstances were the circumstances.
Yeah, there you go. Once again, we're talking with indie comic writer and publisher Jody McFee on the season finale of And I Quote. Make sure you like and share this video with all of your closest friends. We've been having discussions about some of the projects he's worked on in the past, some updates on those, and then we're talking about the potential future of certain cinematic or lack of cinematic universes moving forward. We talked about the MCU. We talked about what is the mess that has been in the past of the DC cinematic universe, and maybe potentially what Peter Safran and James Gunn are going to be doing moving forward. Am I devastated that Henry Cavill's not going to be my Superman anymore? Heck yeah, I am. But you know what? They're cleaning house. It's an overhaul. They're rebooting this whole gosh darn thing. We'll see what happens. All we can do is just wait and see what happens.
Here's a question for you, and you're being the movie buff that you are. Bringing in James Gunn and seeing what he did with the second Suicide Squad movie, do you think that the way that he did the Suicide Squad movie would be the proper direction for the DCU movie universe to move in? To me, I don't. Because to me, Suicide Squad was a niche movie. Even from the first one, it was a very niche movie. It does not have the mainstays like what had happened with Justice League. And seeing both Justice League movies, yeah, there were problems, but there was enough meat there to build from it. It's just not what a lot of people would like from it.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. To answer the question, though, and this is coming from somebody, listen, I am not a big James Gunn fan. I'm really not. But I did watch the movie, The Suicide Squad. I did sit down. I watched it. I saw what he was doing. And I got to be honest, I actually enjoyed The Suicide Squad more than I thought I was going to enjoy. Because I went in with like no expectations. I'm like, I'm not a big James Gunn fan. This is going to be a huge, misfire. I don't think it's going to work. And then I watched the film. I'm like, you know what? It's actually somewhat better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, there are still some cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs moments that I still don't want to see. But other than that, it's weird, but I liked it. But then again, as far as what he's going to potentially be doing with DC Cinematic Universe, or he's trying to assemble one, I don't know. Moving forward, if he puts too many jokes in his movies, that's going to push me away, because if you have too much salt and not enough pepper, which means you have more comedy than you have drama, that's a problem. If you have a good mix of salt and pepper, which is comedy and drama, I will work with you. But if you have more pepper than salt, I'm going to like you even more, because I prefer the drama more so than you can have moments of levity, but don't throw a huge bag of comedy in my face every 2.5 seconds like you do with Guardians of the Galaxy. No. So as long as he balances the salt and the pepper in the recipe, I will buy what you're selling, James Gunn and Peter Safran. But until I see something from you in this new regime, if you will, I can't say anything. So all we can do is just wait and see.
Again, notice that we have not heard about a Batman movie as of yet, because again, that's opposite spectrum of what he's known for. Mm-hmm. And people will get upset if you do not do a Batman correctly.
Mm-hmm. Although I would like to see, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to think of, gosh, who's the person's name that directed the most recent one, The Batman? Matt Reeves, I think it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if we get another The Batman movie like Matt Reeves did, I'm all for it, because I actually really enjoyed The Batman. And Matt Reeves is a heck of a director. So let him do it. Let him make another Batman movie. I'm fine with it. It doesn't have to be involved in the overall DC. These can be standalone films. That's fine. Doesn't bother me in the slightest.
And to me, that's where they need to start. If they're going to redo everything, you're going to have to redo everything from the start. Mm-hmm. And again, that also makes me feel that I'm probably going to have to wait another 2 decades for another Wonder Woman movie.
I hope it's not that long.
Again,
I hope it's not that long. I would like to see a new Wonder Woman movie with a new actress if they're going to, throw Gal Gadot to the side. Unfortunately, I mean, it's nothing against her. And here's the other thing. If Wonder Woman 3, if they had made, hypothetically, if WW3, which is not a WrestleMania reference, it's Wonder Woman 3, if that were to happen, I would have liked to have seen another director call the shots on the third film, still with Gal Gadot as the star. I still would have liked to have seen that, because when you work with different people, it brings out different dynamics in the film. So unfortunately, we're never going to get a Wonder Woman 3 with Gal Gadot. But now that they're rebooting everything, I'm looking forward to seeing who these new actors and actresses who are going to be playing these characters are going to be. That's one of the little pieces of excitement that I have for this new supposed DC Cinematic Universe, because we're going to get new actors. Hopefully they're new up-and-coming actors and actresses that are given a proper shot at stardom, and I'd like to see them prove themselves. I would love to see that.
But my problem is with certain of the DC properties that are out there, if the writing is not there, if the directing is not there, you're shooting yourself in the foot. That's the reason why I made the mention about maybe 2-3 decades. Again, from what we got from the TV movie from 1977 to what we got in Wonder Woman 1, that was literally what, 5-6 decades. And this is after the fact that they've been trying to do Wonder Woman TV series after the Linda Carter era,
That's
which
right.
was like late 70s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
We finally get a good Gal Gadot movie, and then a follow-up movie after that.
Not
Again,
so good.
Going
Not
to
so
show about how crucial that writing and directing has to be.
good.
Because
Agreed.
the first Wonder Woman movie knocked it out of the park. It had to, because that fan base is too big to set. Way too big. Same thing with Batman. That fan base is way too big to upset. This is the reason why we was getting so many Superman movies back to back to back to back, and then we were standing the course with Batman movies. That Batman movies really haven't tried to push that envelope too much until we got the Batman.
That was a good film too.
So now we got the Batman that's out, so we got kind of like a new baseline for that particular character.
And I like what I saw.
We don't have Henry Cavill's gone, so now we don't have a baseline for Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 84 tore up that baseline for Wonder Woman. So now there's no ballot Justice League unless you go year one Justice League. And year one, guess what? There was no Batman, there was no Wonder Woman, and there was no Superman. So how do you bring in Green Arrow, Black Canary, and the rest of the Justice League into a year one situation without using the big three? You can't.
Yeah, I was going to say, you really can't.
There's no way. There's no way possible.
You really can't.
And for those who don't know, there's a comic book series called JLA Year One that explains that technically Oliver Queen was the person who created the Justice League of America. He was the one that financed it. It wasn't Bruce. It was Oliver.
It was Oliver Queen.
But that series, that 12-issue series, got pretty much shoved to the back burner when this came out. But that's history. That's going back to history. It wasn't until after Bruce became a member that he took over the financing of it. But originally, in the first couple of years, it was Oliver 100%. Like I said, this was before Clark joined, before Bruce joined, and before Diana joined.
I was not aware of that. Fun facts as we learn on the season finale of, and I quote.
That's the reason why the Arrowverse was so important on television, because when they showed the Hall of Justice and them forming a Justice League, that was harkening back to year one.
And they saved a seat for Oliver, even though he was dead.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a heck of a crossover too.
But in the comic books, he was still alive. But that harkens back to that series about year one Justice League.
That was a heck of a roundtable they had.
Who formed the Justice League up under his money.
That was a nice looking roundtable, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Goodness gracious. Heck of a roundtable. It's funny. I walk out the door, I see a rich boy with a nice looking car. You climb into the car like the Flash says. What are your superpowers again? I'm rich. Anyway, there's a line from the J. There's a line from the JL for you. Listen, all we can do is speculate and see what happens as far as the cinematic universe of the DC universe goes. And otherwise, if you want to know more, visit your local comic shop, pick up a comic, learn something, enjoy something. These characters have been around a lot of them have been around for over 8 decades. So you have your pick of the litter. Just go for it, because going to a comic store and life is better when reading anyway, which we'll talk a little bit more about later in this show. Once again, this is the season finale of And I Quote with comic writer and publisher Jody McFee here on the show. If this is your first time here, thank you for being here. Make sure you like and share this video with all of your closest friends. If you have any questions for Joe, let us know in the chat or in the comments. And we've mentioned something about the MCU. We've mentioned something about the DCU, if you will, just for argument's sake. I'm just saying. When it comes to indie comics, the indie comic universe, we've seen a lot of other properties starting to become adapted to the small screen. Maybe some of them are going to be, at some point or another, going to be adapted to the big screen. My question to you is this: is there enough room for? Now, I'm not saying that there has to be an indie comics universe where all the movies are connected. I'm not saying that
Mhm.
in any way, shape, or form. But what I'm saying is there a place in the mass media of films and television for indie comics, more of them anyway, to be adapted into small screen or big screen projects? And if so, which ones do you think in your mind should be adapted at some point?
Well, here's the weirdness, because I'm going to answer your question in a kind of like discovery type way. You'd be surprised of how many TV series that of the past that started from comics as a whole, whether it be indie or corporate published.
Mhm.
So, as far as the indie space is concerned, to me, that's to me is a no brainer. Yes, there's plenty of space here, but the thing about it is, a lot of those shows really does not do, if I could say that, hey, go and follow up with this particular IP. It becomes its own animal, and it's not until much later that people find out. It's like when you do interviews like this, it's like you interview the actual, if I could say, showrunner or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, this goes back to these comic books from, such and such in, back in the day. It's like, oh, we didn't know that was the source material at that point. Because again, we look at that television or that big screen with the movies as its own IP source sometimes. But we know that some of these stories just not just come about just out of thin air. It has to come from somewhere. There's going to either be some inspiration, or it's going to be coming from a source material that was licensed in some fashion. But when it comes to that indie comic sphere, it's always been a part of it. I mean, think about it. We got the Crow, ideas, comic ideas like the Crow, Tank Girl, all of that came from indie comics, but we didn't know a lot about them because those movies didn't point back to the comics. However, those comic book readers of those IPs knew a lot about it. They went out there, they support, and they did what they could to get into that aspect here. Now, to piggyback off what you said in the bump here, also, let's not forget about one crucial source. If you do not have a comic book store near you, or you just can't get, access to the books itself, try your local library. Your local library will have those volumes of collected series out there on the shelves. Just hit up your library, get your library card, see what, golden age series collected volumes that you have out there, and read that way. Always graphic novels always are in book format, so good thing for ISBN numbers.
Yeah, the whole technical thing, ISBN numbers, and the whole Dewey Decimal System. What a thing that was! Boy, Dewey really cleaned up on that deal. Anyway, that was a line from Seinfeld. I digress.
Well, it was a classic line. It was a classic line.
Yeah, he says the Dewey Decimal System. What a scam that was! Boy, Dewey really cleaned up on that deal. I'm sorry, I can't help it. It's my favorite sitcom. I watch that show way too much. Whether it's on, what do you call it? It's syndicated, right? So it's on different
Mhm.
television stations. It's still on TV, or it's streaming on a streaming service. For in this case, if you're looking for more Seinfeld, it's on Netflix. Hashtag not sponsor. I just want to point that out. But just want to point that out before anyone else says anything else. But that's fantastic stuff. So thank you for sharing that with us, whether in regards to Marvel, DC, or the indie comics, indie properties, things of that nature. Do not get me wrong. Now, you're a part of a group of wonderful gentlemen that goes by the name of Comic Book Spectrum. So what exactly is Comic Book Spectrum, and how's that going thus far?
Well, Comic Book Spectrum is a group of us. It's 5 of us all together. Originally, I was not a part of the original Fab Four. I was kind of like that call up replacement until it got to the point where I was on the show more often. Now it became the Fab Five, but it's a group of five of us that get together on a weekly basis and we review comics for the upcoming that came out over the last 30 days or so, and we talk more about the aspects. It's like, yeah, we have read a couple of stinkers and everything, but for the most part we talk about more the positive aspects of what we read, the stories behind them and everything to that magnitude. And it became kind of like a social, if I could say, talk show where the positivity is, it's like, hey, we're sharing everything and anything that is dealing with comics. And it gives you that vibe, even though it's on a Thursday, it gives you that vibe of meeting up at that comic book store on, New Book Wednesday.
There you go. Enough said. I was going to say, enough said. Great show. Make sure you check it out. Links to where you can follow Jody McFee and everything else he has coming up are located within the description below. Before we get to that, more into that though, this year, 2022, let's take a look at it for a minute. So, did you have a chance to attend or maybe even have a table at any shows or conventions from this year? And if so, any highlights for you?
No, this year I had to take off. The reason I had to take off because there was a lot of personal issues that I had to deal with, not for me per se, but just family related stuff and everything to that magnitude. It was just not safe for me to do shows. That's one of the reasons why coming 2023, I'm happy that I'm slowly getting acclimated back into doing actual physical Comic Cons. So the next one that I'm doing, and I just put pen to ink to the contract for it, and I'm just waiting for the invoice to come in, is C2E2. So that's the very first one that I'm doing in 2023. And then from there, it's kind of like a hodgepodge of, am I doing it? Am I not doing it? My major concern with doing shows, like I said, is because of other family concerns here. And as certain individuals get better and the things about the pandemic and stuff ease up a lot more, I will be doing a lot more shows and doing a lot more damage out there as far as, hey guys, come out and buy our books type deal.
Yeah, I hear you. I completely understand where you're coming from. And yes, please keep yourself, keep your family members and your loved ones safe while you're out there. If you are going to shows, just be cool. Just be cool about it. Be safe about it. That's all we ask. But aside from that, I do want to let you know that this episode of And I Quote, and every episode of And I Quote, is indeed powered by Pod Decks. Now, what exactly are Pod Decks? Well, I'll tell you. Pod Decks are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts located within the palm of your very own hand. So whether you are a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, you're going to want to check out poddex.com. Use the code Ryan10, that's RYAN10, Ryan10 for 10% off your first order. Do not miss out on that opportunity. Plus, it's the holiday season, so treat yourself. Poddex.com. Ryan10, use the promo code, 10% off. You're going to like the way you look after using that promo code. We guarantee it. First things first, Joe, what 3 things would you leave in a time capsule for people to open in 50 years, and is one of them a graded copy of Wonder Woman #1?
Unfortunately, no, that would not be it here. And this is part of my favorite part of the show here, because Poddex, they do have some interesting questions like this one here. 3 things that I would leave in a time capsule. Considering that, looking at things today, I probably would leave a laptop filled with digital copies of a lot of literary classics, for one, considering that a battery would last or that the electric source is still going to be available for it. Because it's like leaving that, it's like you don't lose track of history, for one. The second thing would be, I would say pretty much a vinyl record player and different albums to keep track of music. And the last thing would be like whatever, religious artifact that you want in there, depending on what religion that you're from, because that way you cover the spectrum as far as what human interactions was there for that time frame.
Okay. All right. Well, one person, someone once said that music is the language of the soul. So
Hmm. So
nothing wrong.
you covered the whole gamut. You covered the interpersonal, metaphysical, religious side, the side of jubilation and everything from music, and then the writings of the times from from your own youth and prior to that day with the laptop and all the classics and stuff on it.
Hmm. That is a very valid point. Excellent stuff. Now, Powered by Poddex here wants to know, what was the worst time you ever put your foot in your mouth, and what did you say?
Worst time I ever put my foot in my mouth.
And what did you say?
I'm trying to think of a non personal one where I could talk about it openly, because it's like
Mhm.
most of it is like more, it's mostly couples interaction type stuff here.
Ah, gotcha.
Now I'm thinking about work. I think the last time that happened, it was at work, where in a way I was 100% right,
Hmm.
but in another way I was wrong, because you have to always think about customer service. So what I said was exactly what the person who was complaining to me about a situation,
Hmm.
and I used the exact words that they use to send over to another unit. And the one supervisor was jumping down my throat about that, saying it's like, you can't use words like that, this, that, or the other. I was like, hold on a second. Those are not my words. And I showed her the email that those words came from.
Hmm.
And she was like, oh. But also at the same time, it's like, just like how you're protecting everybody else, you did not protect me. And that's where I put my foot in my mouth, because of the simple fact that technically she was trying to protect me from, the negativity that was coming from her, but without her knowing about what that person who was complaining to me said, it was like I was right, but yet I was wrong at the same time, because I was not aware of how that was coming off to everybody else. It's like, those are not my words. I even put it in quotation marks. It was, that I'm quoting somebody else, but it was what it was.
Hmm. I see what you mean. So it's almost, I mean, not to say that this is the same scenario per se, but it's almost like the situation where someone named Gene Wilder, who played an iconic character by the name of Willy Wonka, who says, "It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You stole fizzy lifting drinks. You bumped into the ceiling, which now has to be washed, so you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir." Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Yes, that it was kind of like one of those moments there.
I
It was kind of
couldn't
like
help
one
but
of those
quote that.
moments, and then I'm up there like, oh. I go
It's
like,
right there, so
oh, my bad, because it's like, I gave all the information that you wanted me to give to this other unit, but why am I the bad person in this? Why aren't you protecting me? It's like you jumping down my throat for something that I didn't personally do. I'm not saying this.
It's a crazy mixed world that we live in, that is for sure. Now, Powered by Poddex wants to know, if you could be a personal assistant to anyone, who would it be?
A personal assistant to anyone.
Anyone, yeah.
Ironically enough, it probably won't be anybody that most people would think, because most people would think of like, all these powerful individuals and everything. The first person that I thought about would be like somebody that's kind of more like me, and probably like a Warren Buffett, because of the simple fact that he comes off as, even though he's a multi-billionaire, he comes off as like one of these people that might just be really just down to earth, and just not really thinking about all of the drama and stuff that most social avenues will have. You know,
Hmm.
it's like getting to his mind and understanding, how he feels about family, money, wealth, and all this other stuff, especially after all the books that he has written dealing with this type of stuff. And then some people don't even realize that he had a cartoon show called the Millionaires Club, the Warren Buffett Millionaires Club, where he was actually teaching, kids at the age of 5 and 6 about not being like miserly or anything like that, but just the simple common sense things that you can do, either save money or conserve money. And it was weird because I remember that cartoon. I was watching some of the episodes, and it really got into entrepreneurship. It's like, if you actually did that lemonade stand, some of the things that you really need to think about when you do it for it to be profitable. And I was like, that's an interesting take on that.
Okay. All right. And please forgive me. You may have said this before. Who was this individual?
Warren Buffett.
Oh, it is Warren Buffett. Okay, I'm just making sure. All right. Gotcha. Warren Buffett. All right, that's cool. I can dig it. No problems. Good answer. Good answer. As Raphael once said in the Ninja Turtles movie from 1990. Nice movie, by the way.
Yes.
Still holds up almost 30 plus years later. I love that movie. But anyway, that's neither here.
Great movie, great direction. The dialogue might be dated, but it was still a great movie with great direction.
Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds. Hey, Mikey, you ever think about what Splinter said tonight? I mean, about what it would be like, not having him. Time's up. $3 off. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, that was a great lie. It was
I've
a great
seen
lie
that movie. I watched that movie countless times on VHS as a kid. Countless times. And I love it. I still love it to this day. I mean, the thing is streaming on 2 streaming services. I still stream it every couple of days and whatnot. And presently, I rewatch because after I got, and this is real quick before I present our next question, which is powered by Poddex, by the way. I got a signed Funko Pop by Kevin Eastman, who's one of the co-creators of the Ninja Turtles original characters in the comic book series. So I got the Raphael one. So after I got the Funko Pop, I just went back and streamed the 4 movies, which is TMNT from 1990, the sequel, which was The Secret of the Ooze, Part 3, which is retitled Turtles in Time, which was Part 3.
Right, and then there's went back to Shogun era.
Right, and then there was TMNT that came out in 2006, which was an animated movie with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Chris Evans as the voices of April O'Neil and Casey Jones. Class is Pain 101. Your instructor is Casey Jones. Look, I don't want to fight you. Well, tough luck, pal. Jose Canseco bat. Tell me, you didn't pay money for this. Anyway, that was a line from the original. Thank you very much. So with that, I've been on a Turtles craze for the last couple of days. What are you going to do? Cowabunga. But here's the next question, which is powered by our good friends over here at Poddex. Which celebrity do you think is a positive role model for kids today? Probably nobody in this case.
No. I'll just say, in this case, it would not be anybody that's popular. And when I say popular, I'm talking about that is buzzworthy. So
right.
When I look at it, it's like positive role model for kids, it would be a lot of the older celebrities here. And surprisingly enough, it's just weird that you brought it up, because a lot of times people who's like, pick like the first, popular celebrity. I'm up here like, no, it would be, I'm up here thinking, along the lines of, and surprisingly enough, it's like, people O'Neil and people like that who have done the raunchy type stuff and have done the unscrupulous type stuff, but yet in their personal life they're more of like a down to earth family type person. Before she passed, Christy Alley would be like one that I would look at, because it's like she had that mama bear type mentality about her in her personal life than what is being portrayed out there when she was acting. So it's kind of those type of scenarios when I look at answering that question. So it's just weird. It's just weird when you bring that up. It's like, it's not as obvious as you think it would be. So if I have to say, it's like, like I said, Christy Alley would have been one. I'm trying to think of a good male role model here. It's like I'm still going to stick with Ed O'Neill. He's one of those private, fun-loving type people who is family oriented, but yet at the same time he understands a lot of the evils of a lot of the stuff here. And that whole personal feud with Amanda Burst is just like, I look at that and it's like, you know what? That's an argument where there's two sides of the coin, and that middle ground, the truth is, was they just didn't like one another, and just leave it at that.
All right, man. Surprise. We got some names I didn't expect to hear on this show, but hey, anything is possible. You never know what you're going to get. My mom always said that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That's a good movie too. But anyway,
yes,
all right.
that's a good movie too. And I still picture that football scene. Run, stop!
Yeah. Because he's about to run out of the field.
Remember the first time he ran completely out the stadium and kept going.
He just kept, and then he said in his monologue, he said, college was very confusing times. Which it is to an extent. If you really think about it, college is confusing. Hey, I should know. I was there in college not too long ago. But anyway, aside from that, our good friends at Poddex want to know, what is the one thing you wish you had the money to pay someone to do for you? Could be anything.
Pay somebody to do for me.
Yeah. What is one thing you wish you had the money to pay someone to do for you? And it could be anything.
I would say I would create the job of the permanent substitute, meaning that, hey, I've got to commit myself to doing this. And I turn around and be like, hey, you do it. That way I will never be double booked for anything, because I will always have representation at that aspect. When you get double booked or triple booked or just so much stuff to do, it's like you're taking care of your responsibilities, but at the same time, you keeping good face in that aspect here. So it's like, oh, I need to get my website done as well as, attend somebody's play. Here, person over here, depending on which one I want to do more, you go to the play or you take care of the website. I take care of the rest. Having a permanent substitute, that wingman that you tag to be like, here, take care of this. I want to be over here doing this. Have any questions? There's the number. Boom, done, over with. It's in a way kind of like having like your own personal, if I could say, Alfred.
Yeah.
and that's a that I kind of wish that they would expound more upon, which is Pennyworth.
Okay, that's a fair point. That's fair. Well, thank you so much for sharing that answer with us, because it kind of goes back to what the Scarlet Speedster said in one of the first episodes of Justice League animated series. Look at this. Look at me. I'm the fastest man alive. Even I can't be in two places at once. So perfectly voiced by Michael Rosenbaum, who also portrayed Lex Luthor in the hit series Smallville, my favorite show of all time. So way to go, Rosenbaum. But with that being said, I want to say thank you to Jody McFee for being our first ever returning guest in the history of And I Quote. This was Jody McFee on And I Quote Part 2. Feel free to check out Part 1 on our playlist. Once again, Jody McFee, thank you so much for being here. Where can the good people of the interwebs follow you on social media and everything that you have coming up? What do you got?
Right there on my it's powered by Poddex, but my Linktree link that's right there, which is linktre @/Silboat, is where you can get everything about me, where it be my social medias, links to From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, links to everything, and I think including the gaming aspect too that I do from time to time on YouTube, and the Twitch links and everything. It's all there.
Spectacular. Conveniently located in one place. And by the way, all those links are located within the description of this video. Whether you're watching the video or audio version of this podcast, those links are located within the description below. So make sure you check them out. Follow them across all forms of social media, and check out their upcoming project and some of the things that they've done so already in the past. My name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, personally at RyanRPM5. Also, make sure you're following us on all forms of social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, at It's Nerd Culture. Links are located within the description below. That is going to do it And I quote, 2022, that's a wrap. But I will say this, fear not, because new episodes are going to drop early on in January of 2023. Guess what? We have some great episodes lined up for you. We have new guests coming in. We got some incredible folks that I really think you're going to enjoy meeting them, asking them questions, hearing their stories about what they're passionate about, what they love to do, what kind of stories or what kind of things they like to put together, and the teams that they work with behind the scenes to make these things happen. Because as a wise person once said, teamwork makes the dream work. So make sure you check out those episodes in January of 2023. Also, you think we're completely done for 2022? Not really. And I quote, maybe taking a bit of a break for a while, but our next video is going to drop on Monday night, December the 19th. It's going to be the 25th anniversary watch along of Tomorrow Never Dies, a James Bond film starring Pierce Brosnan. That's right, Pierce, my man Pierce. What's up, buddy? And we're going to drop that on Monday Night Live, December 19th, 2022 at 8 p.m. EST, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, at It's Neuroculture. Links are located within the description below. Once again, that is going to be a lot of fun. That is going to be a great time. We got some panelists, special guests are going to be joining us. We're going to be presenting some fun facts about the movie, sharing our love and feelings about anything and everything James Bond franchise. So check it out Monday night, December the 19th, 2022. That's a lot, but it's going to be a lot of fun. That is the key. That is the key. But in the meantime, stay healthy out there. Stay strong. Stay safe. Like, comment, share, subscribe, smash that notification bell so you get notified when our new videos go up. And also, I want to let you know something. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, and we are this close, once we do, we're going to have a special anniversary live stream, or 1,000 subscriber celebration live stream, and we're going to have special giveaways that you may actually win. But the only way we're going to do it is once we hit 1,000. So you got to tell all your friends, your family about us. Tell the cats, tell the dogs, doesn't matter. Subscribe to the channel, help us reach 1,000 subscribers. And once we do, we're going to have a big celebration. We're going to have very special giveaways that you're going to have a chance to win. So we're excited. We're very, very excited. And I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to each and every single one of you who has taken the time to like, to comment, to share our content, to subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for your support. We cannot do this without you. As a PSA once said, this wonderful content that we put together is made possible by viewers like you. So the more you know. So in the meantime, happy holidays to you and your families and your loved ones. And remember, life is better when reading. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Sweet dreams they placed on me inside my mind. Chance my truth, twist the past, my memories are fading fast. Am I still misunderstand? Who do you want me to be? Am I still
The Multiverse Fundraiser is a virtual fandom jamboree and a charity fundraiser all rolled into one package. We're not just raising funds for a good cause, we're raising fun. Our 2023 event will be supporting the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health, which exists to spread awareness of aortic health and prevent unnecessary suffering through genetic research, widespread education, and radical advocacy. Our fundraiser combines celebrity panels, fandom-based panels, indie creators, and all of the fun of a virtual con for free. There's a little something for everyone while we support a cause close to our heart. Join us on January 20th through 22nd, along with celebrity guests Amy Yazbek, Jason Bear, Chris Gaucher, Victor Garber, William Catt, Cress Williams, Beth Broderick, Armin Shimmerman, Guy Gilchrist, Carrie Schaefer, Brian Hull, Amy Carrero, Jennifer Cody, and Joyce DeWitt.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Author Cindy Kepp is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Kepp at CKOEPP.com today.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.